Hello, digital artists. This exercise is a little bit about textures and a little bit about transformations and a little bit about perspective. I'm doing it in Photoshop, although all these tools you could use in Procreate as well. The first thing I want to do is get rid of the white canvas. So I'm going to pick a gray color and my fill tool. And then I'm going to do other stuff on a separate layer. I want to draw some long straight lines, so I'm going to get my line tool. The shortcut is U, but that might be picking up your rectangle tool or that sort of stuff instead. Your line tool here on the side, you can pick out, see it's down there near the bottom, line tool, boom. And then up top, in our controls here, there's modes for shape, path, or pixels. We want pixels. That's just much simpler. And if your line draws, oh, I've still got it set to the same color. I need to change color so we can see it. And if your line has an arrow on the end, you want to go into settings here, and there's arrowheads, start, and you just turn those off. Okay. So I want to draw a perfectly horizontal line for my horizon. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key so it goes straight across. Shift key lets it be 45, 90, 0 degrees only. I'm going to put a little mark for one vanishing point, a little mark for another vanishing point. I'm going to pick a new color to make it easier to see, and I'm going to draw just a very simple, again, I'm holding down Shift so I draw straight up and down for these verticals. Very simple box, right? And the fact that we can still see the perspective lines past the corners here doesn't really matter. I just want a box. I could be doing a exterior box like this, or an interior room if I wanted. Either way. I've put this centered, but I don't have to do it centered. I could be doing it over to one side or the other, so we're seeing a more foreshortened, seeing one wall more foreshortened than the other, instead of this kind of centered one where we're seeing them kind of equal. Okay, so on a new layer, I'm going to make a couple of rectangles that represent these two sides of the box, or these two walls, but on a flat plane. So I'm using M to get my rectangular marquee tool, and on a new layer here, I'm drawing a rectangle that's about the proportions I think that wall would be if it weren't in perspective. And then I'm going to fill it in with my paint bucket or just Control D, and then I'm going to draw the other wall and fill that in. Okay, so I've got two layers now, one my perspective drawing and then this flat one. Now I'm going to draw whatever sort of textures and detailing I want onto these walls. If I want to keep it nice and crisp on the edge, I will lock the layer transparency. I will turn on the alpha lock so that anything I draw stays within that box. And but if I wanted, I could leave that off and get, you know, just more or less color inside the lines. But I'm gonna, for this exercise, for this demonstration, I'm going to turn it on. So let's say I want my walls to be kind of pinkish, and whatever texture or stuff I want. And maybe there's a door, a window, a painting, a crack in the wall, you know, whatever the heck I want to put on here. Okay, so we've got our walls. And I'm going to select one of the walls and copy it, Control C. Turn off that layer so I can see the layer beneath it. Control V to paste it. Transform it, Control T. Right click or control click to get to the distort. And I'm going to put the corners of my rectangle into my box. And this is silly because I've drawn a interior wall and an exterior box. So let's change that. Okay, so using these interior walls, let's copy one wall, Control C, turn that layer off, Control V to paste into a new layer, transform, Control T, right click or control click to distort, and put those corners into the corners of our drawings. And then repeat that for the other wall. Control C, Control V, Control T, and distort. Okay, and you're done. You're going to turn in a JPEG of this, and then also a JPEG of that, so I can see them flat and I can see them in place. Now, you can use this transforming technique to do all sorts of complicated architectural details, to take a drawing that's not quite in the right perspective and turn it into the perspective you need, to add textures like bricks or gravel or something that gets smaller as they recede in space. It's just a handy thing to have in your toolbox. You're also, of course, welcome to add a ceiling to this room and a floor, or if you're doing the exterior box, you could give it a roof. You could complicate it however you want, but all that I need is two walls in perspective. All right,